And to help us get a picture of what's going on, especially with some commercial real estate, we invite back into the stream Conor Flynn, Kimco Realty CEO. Very simply, we're emerging from the pandemic. The sun is out. People want to get outside. Is it time to start buying if you can invest, whether it be in a REIT, some of the commercial real estate that I would imagine in some parts of the country, bargain basement prices?
Yeah, look, Kimco is a grocery anchored REIT, and we are well positioned, I think, for this reopening trade. We're seeing broad based demand across the portfolio. And what's interesting is really the essential retailers that were, in essence, getting a windfall from this pandemic never took their foot off the gas. And now it's interesting is that the more impacted categories, the restaurants, the fitness players are back. Because if you think about it, there's a lot of market share up for grabs. So if you can get in and open in the next 6 to 12 months, you should be in a very good spot to capture this reopening trade. And we feel like Kimco is well positioned for that.
And what can we expect from shopping centers, malls? There was a lot of talk during the pandemic that they could possibly be, transformed into housing or residential properties. What do you think of that talk, and what do you think it'll take for these properties to really start to pick up again?
Yeah, so for Kimco, our grocery anchored portfolio is very well leased. And so we have the opportunity, I think, to really drive earnings growth just from the organic leasing demand that we're experiencing. One of the things that we found in the fourth quarter, we actually did more leasing than we did a year ago, pre-pandemic. So it's interesting to see how quickly the rebound has snapped back. And I think one of the major takeaways from the pandemic is that the retailer has found that the last mile store, which is really located close to where people live and work, is more valuable than ever because it's now optimized for fulfillment and distribution. And what they're referencing is fulfillment epicenters are now what stores are becoming, which is really what's driving the demand and the new usage of space. And when you think about, what you mentioned about the highest and best use of the real estate, it does depend obviously on every location. And some of them do lend themselves to mixed use or adding residential over the retail. At Kimco, we've entitled 5,000 apartment units across our portfolio, as we do feel like the portfolio is in those markets that are actually benefiting from the suburban move that's occurring. So we're in that first ring suburb, and we actually think the demand for future density, because the retail is an amenity that we already provide. And then if we can enhance that with residential, it's a nice complement.
Just want to let you know your shares right now, as we head toward the closing bell, are trading almost at their 52-week high. So I think some of the investors who are watching what you're doing like what they see, the stimulus that has now been passed into law. Do you expect that to be an additional motivator for potential, I'm going to use a term and I don't want to offend, I guess strip mall. You're an open air mall. Those of us who are not in the industry call it, I guess, strip mall. But the stores that left, are you seeing new businesses fill it? And will the stimulus coming down the pike assist that?
Yeah, no question. Look, the stimulus is going to put a lot of money in people's pockets. And we feel like our portfolio is really going to benefit from that, as the consumer spending should really spark here. The retail demand is, to your point, it's really broad based. I mean, the Walmarts, the Costcos, the Targets of the world, we're their largest landlord, and they've been benefiting through this whole pandemic. But what we've found is now the rebound is in those categories that were most impacted, that were under capacity constraints or forced to close. And we're trying to make sure we bring the right merchandising mix into the asset to drive traffic at all points of time. We did launch curbside pickup nationwide at the start of the pandemic. And that's part of that value proposition that I think the store is now embracing, which is whether you buy it online or you pick it up in store or you use curbside pickup, that's what's really driving a lot of the demand. And so we are seeing, opportunities to backfill these vacancies that occurred through the pandemic and hopefully push ourselves to all-time high occupancies.
Conor Flynn is CEO of Kimco Realty. It's good to see you again. Glad to see that your business is doing well. All the best to you and the team there.